यह गिरी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ डेवलपमेंट स्टडीज का गोल्डन जुबली ईयर है। लखनऊ विश्वविद्यालय के एक कमरे से शुरू करके देश के नामचीन नॉलेज सेंटर बनने तक ये सफर संस्थान ने बड़ी सफलतापूर्वक पूरा किया है। 50 सालों के जीवन में संस्थान ने तमाम उतार चढ़ाव देखे हैं, लेकिन देश के आवाम से गहरे जुड़ाव ने इसे चुनौतियों का सामना करने का सामर्थ्य दिया है। संस्थान की आधी सदी का सफर उन सहयात्रियों की भी जीवन यात्रा है जिन्होंने अपने परिश्रम व मेधा से इसको सींचा है। यह डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म उन्हीं सहयात्रियों की जुबानी संस्थान की कहानी है।
इस डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म का लक्ष्य संस्थान के बारे में तथ्यों और आंकड़ों को बताना नहीं है, बल्कि सामाजिक, आर्थिक और राजनीतिक बदलाव के साथ संस्थान के विकास की कहानी बताना है। गिरी विकास अध्ययन संस्थान देश के उन चुनिंदा सामाजिक विज्ञान संस्थानों में से एक है जिसकी स्थापना देश के अनेक राज्यों में केंद्र और राज्य सरकार की मदद से 70 के दशक में की गई थी। ये एक्चुअली योजनाबद्ध विकास का दौर था और राजनीतिक, सामाजिक और आर्थिक समस्याओं की गहरी समझ योजना बनाने और उसको क्रियान्वयन करने के लिए आवश्यक थी। भारत में योजना बनाने की प्रक्रिया नीति निर्माताओं, प्रशासकों और सामाजिक वैज्ञानिकों के बीच डिस्कशन करके और परस्पर बदलती हुई भूमिकाओं से परिष्कृत होती थी। गिरी विकास अध्ययन संस्थान के संस्थापक निदेशक प्रोफेसर वीवी सिंह अर्थशास्त्री होने के साथ साथ राज्यसभा के सदस्य भी थे और संस्थान के निर्माता प्रोफेसर त्रिलोक सिंह पपोला भी एक अर्थशास्त्री होने के साथ साथ केंद्र और राज्य सरकार के महत्वपूर्ण समितियों के सदस्य भी थे। गिरी विकास की कहानी भी इन्हीं दो अर्थशास्त्रियों, एक गुरु और एक शिष्य से ही शुरू होती है।
Institute was initially founded by Professor V.B. Singh when he was teaching at Lucknow University in 1973. And since he was a well-known labor economist, the institute was named Institute of Labor Studies and Industrial Relations in 1973. Then when Narendra Tiwari became Chief Minister, he wrote to the Education Minister, Professor Nurul Hasan, that UP should also have a research institute. So a committee was constituted under Professor Sukhmay Chakravarti to identify where to set the institute or whether any existing institute is suitable. So the committee identified Giri Institute as a potential which can be supported by ICSSR. So in 77, there was an agreement between ICSSR and UP government that they will provide matching grant for this institute. Then he wanted to name it after President V.V. Giri, who was president at that time. But the registration department said that you can't have an institute in the name of a serving president. So the via media was that VV was dropped from the name. So only Giri was maintained.
Giri Institute of Development Studies. And as you rightly said, my relationship with the institute actually dates back to its very beginning. I was a PhD student in the Lucknow University Economics Department from 1974 to 1977, and my supervisor was Dr. V.B. Singh, who was essentially the founder of this institute. And at that time, I remember Dr. V.B. Singh, who is who was a member of parliament at that stage also, tried his very best and very hard to get the grant from the ICSSR to set up this institute. And during that time, I remember he used to work with Professor J.P. Nayak, who was the chairman of, who was the member secretary of ICSSR.
During the emergency period, and it was at that time that it came out of Lucknow University, came under the aegis of the ICSSR and became an independent institution when Dr. Papola was brought in as the director. Soon after that, the Congress government fell and the Janata Party came in. Now the Janata Party was undoing everything that had been done during the emergency period. So Giri Institute became a victim of that. One of the big supporters of Giri Institute in the initial years was Mr. Narayan Dutt Tiwari, who was the chief minister at the time. He was one of the big supporters. And on account of him, and there were a number of very enlightened bureaucrats in Lucknow at that time. And these enlightened bureaucrats fully supported the Giri Institute. I can take the names of a few of them, very distinguished bureaucrats. Mr. Anand Sarup, who was the planning secretary, Mr. J.C. Pant, who was the education secretary, Mr. J.L. Bajaj, who was at that time one of the, he was also food commissioner or something, Naresh Saxena, food commissioner. I joined the Giri Institute in 1980 as a professor. That was the first time when the institute recruited a number of people from outside, and I was in that batch. There were other, Professor G.P. Mishra was also along with that. Then there was Hiranma Dhar, Niranjan Pant. Some people had been working there from earlier also, like Dr. Harnam Singh Verma, R.C. Sinha, M.S. Ashraf.
I think the first chairman of the institute was Sri D.P. Dhar, if you have heard the name. He was a very famous political personality, deputy chairman of Planning Commission, and very close to Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister. Second chairman was equally famous personality, Sri P.N. Akshar, who worked very closely with Indira Gandhi and who was also later on deputy chairman of Planning Commission. I had the privilege of working with him as member of the governing board on the institute for a number of years. When Shri D.P. Dhar expired, I was in the Planning Commission at that time, so they asked me to chair the governing body. So I became the chairman of the institute. I think exactly, I don't remember the date, but it was mid-90s, around 95 or so. I resigned from the chairmanship and persuaded Professor Y.K. Alak to become the chairman, and he became chairman. He was there for a long time.
ग्रीन इंस्टीट्यूट हमेशा से हमें ये नहीं लगा कि कोई अलग चीज़ है, ये लगा हमेशा से कि ये विभाग से शुरू हुआ तो हमारे विभाग से का ही एक हिस्सा मुझे हमेशा से ग्रीन इंस्टीट्यूट लगता रहा.
During 1980s, Giri Institute emerged as an important social science institution of this country. V.B. Singh was the real custodian of Indian Society of Labour Economics, and Papola was his student. And so in that sense, Giri Institute played a very important role in labour studies in India.
हमने पहले भी जिक्र किया है कि इस संस्थान की कहानी प्रोफेसर वी सिंह और प्रोफेसर त्रिलोक सिंह पपोला के बिना अधूरी रहेगी। प्रोफेसर सिंह इंस्टीट्यूट के संस्थापक और प्रोफेसर पपोला इसके निर्माता के रूप में जाने जाते हैं।
So Giri Institute founder Maybe Singh was the founder editor of the Indian Journal of Labour Economics, and at that time he was the Indian Society of Labour Economics.
एक और विशेष बात थी कि प्रोफेसर वी सिंह जब पढ़ाते थे, ये नहीं कि केवल एक संकुचित दायरे में अर्थशास्त्र पढ़ाते थे। अर्थशास्त्र से संबंधित चाहे वो राजनीति हो, चाहे कल्चर की बात हो या समाज की अन्य बात हो, उसका भी समावेश उनके लेक्चर में रहता था। लेक्चर में जो खास बात हमने देखी वो हिस्ट्री ऑफ इकोनॉमिक थॉट हमें पढ़ाया पहले साल, और उसमें वो जो क्लासिकल थिंकर्स थे एडम स्मिथ, रिकार्डो और मार्क्स, उसके बारे में बताते थे। खास तौर से मार्क्स के ऊपर उनका लेक्चर उन्हें बहुत प्रिय था, और मार्क्स की जो थ्योरी है उसमें वो पारंगत भी थे, और उसके बारे में अन्य बातें बताते जो हमारे सिलेबस से बाहर की थी। एक तरह से वो विशेषज्ञ थे, भारत में उनका बहुत सम्मान था लेबर इकोनॉमिक्स में, और लेबर इकोनॉमिक्स से संबंधित उन्होंने अनेक संस्थाओं का स्थापित भी किया। खास तौर से इंडियन जर्नल ऑफ लेबर इकोनॉमिक्स और जो इंडियन लेबर इकोनॉमिक्स एसोसिएशन है जिसका ये जर्नल है, यही विभाग से संचालित होता था।
Professor V.B. Singh had initiated the institute, but it was really built up during Professor Popola's time. And Professor Popola's persona, his entire personality, his academic work, and the way he was able to center his academic work around Uttar Pradesh after he moved there, really provided a huge impetus to Giri Institute and made it to become one of the foremost leading institutions, research institutions in the country, with contributing to planning and development policy in UP. So that, I think, was a very major contribution, and certainly when the Popola, one can well say that Giri Institute already at a very early stage reached its golden years. Giri Institute became one of the pinnacles among research institutes in the area of development research. And Professor Popola himself, actually, because Professor Popola himself was a pioneering researcher in the fields of industrial and labor economics in particular, so he was able to galvanize research in these two areas and in other researches around Giri Institute. So Giri Institute very quickly, at the beginning, it had very little infrastructure. As I said, it started from a house in Aligarh. During his tenure, of course, the new institution came up, the new institute building came up, and he was able to shift there. But he built the institution almost from scratch.
आज हम लोग जहाँ खड़े हैं ये पपोली गांव है। ये वही पपोली गांव है जहाँ देश के प्रख्यात अर्थशास्त्री प्रोफेसर टी.एस. पपोला ने 1941 में जन्म लिया था। ये उनका घर है और इस वक्त मैं उनके परिवार के साथ यहाँ पर खड़ी हूँ। पपोला साहब के शुरुआती पढ़ाई जो है वही यही आसपास के गांव के जारती, सनेती और यहीं पे कांडा गांव में हुई थी।
शुरुआती दौर उनका जो पारिवारिक स्थिति मैं कह रहा हूँ बदतर ही नहीं थी, बद से बदतर थी। तो 5th तक जब वो स्कूल जाते थे तो बदन पे एक ही कपड़ा होता था, बड़ा सा कुर्ता, 2 कपड़े भी उनके बदन पर नहीं होते थे।
प्राइमरी पाठशाला जारती या जिसको आजकल राजकीय प्राइमरी पाठशाला कहते हैं, वहाँ पर उन्होंने कक्षा 5 तक का अध्ययन किया था। और उसके बाद जूनियर हाई स्कूल या 8वीं तक उन्होंने जूनियर हाई स्कूल सनेती से पास किया। केवल शिक्षाविद ही नहीं, एक पर्यावरणविद भी थे वो। जब वन पंचायत बन गई फॉरेस्ट पंचायत जिसको कहते हैं, तो वो कहते हैं कि मैं एक बार जंगल का पतरौल भी बना। पतरौल मीन्स चौकीदार। वो कहते थे कि पर्यावरण को बचाना ही चाहिए। जब हम बचपन में हमने चौकीदारी की, यहाँ पर हम जंगल को बचाने का हमने प्रयास किया, तो आप लोग तो गांव में रहते हो, क्यों नहीं बचा रहे हो उसको?
लेबर इकोनॉमिक्स के तो प्रख्यात वो थे ही, और बाद में इशिमोटो बताने के बाद उन्होंने माउंटेन इकोनॉमिक्स, माउंटेन इकोलॉजी, पेस्ट्रोलिज्म, एग्रीकल्चर, इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, ये इतने सारे एस्पेक्ट हुए। बड़ी वॉल्यूम आपकी लाइब्रेरी में होंगे जो उन्होंने उसमें जर्मन मदद से उसमें पब्लिश की थी इशिमोटो ने, तो उन वॉल्यूम से भी उनकी अंतर्दृष्टि का अंदाजा आता है। न सिर्फ भारतीय हिमालय बल्कि नेपाल, भूटान, तिब्बत और भी जो दुनिया के और पर्वत हैं, उनकी अच्छी स्टडी उनके माध्यम से। और जिस दौर में वो इसी वार्ड में थे, उस दौर में उनकी सबसे बड़ी विशेषता रही कि किसी भी मीटिंग में, कॉन्फ्रेंस में वो सिर्फ एकेडमिक्स को ही नहीं बुलाते। एकेडमिक्स के साथ वह एनजीओ के लोगों को बुलाते थे और कभी कभी चुने हुए विलेज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव भी बनाते, जैसे महिला मंगल दलों के अध्यक्ष, युवक मंगल दलों के अध्यक्ष, ग्राम प्रधान, ऐसे लोगों को भी वो बुलाते थे।
This Institute for Human Development, IHD, has been formally established by the Indian Society of Labour Economics. So in that sense, I used to jokingly say Dr. Papola, who became president of the society later on, that you are grandfather of IHD.
Like me, he is also a student of Dr. V.P. Singh. So Dr. Papola and I are Guru Bhais in that sense. And Dr. Papola was not just an outstanding academic, but also quite a remarkable institution and team builder. And he devoted a lot of his time to making sure that the academic foundations of the institutes were well prepared, and he got a very good team to work with him. Some of the best brains from the country were attracted to come to Lucknow and to the Giri Institute at that time.
The evenings were great with Professor Papola, because those evenings, you are not a kind of, he is not a very senior person that time. He is a friend, just like a friend. And I think that kind of great quality I learned from him.
Dr. Papola was I don't know if any one of you had met him, he was a very easy person to get along with. He is one of those persons on whom this academic distinction sat very lightly. So it was a very friendly atmosphere which he created in the institute.
डॉक्टर पपोला की जो सबसे बड़ी तारीफ मैं कहूँगा वो ये थी कि वो क्लास में 10 मिनट के भाषण के बाद वो बच्चों का क्या स्तर है उसको भाप लेते थे। तो अपने पढ़ाने के अंदाज को वो हमारे लेवल पर नीचे रख के आते थे और तब पढ़ाते थे, ताकि जो हमारे स्तर का जो बच्चा है उसको भी चीज क्लियर हो जाए।
I came to Lucknow and joined there in the 1st March 2013, where Professor Papola came from Delhi to welcome me, and then Professor A.K. Singh, who happened to be the director, both of them were very warm and they welcomed me to the institute. I worked with him for 3.5 years or so, and he was a great Democrat. He was very cooperative. Whenever I asked for any help, he was forthcoming without any reservation. So, as far as Professor Papola is concerned, I have great memories about him. And both of us worked as a team and we tried to establish the institute.
सोशल साइंस रिसर्च करने के साथ ही संस्थान राज्य और केंद्र सरकार व अन्य संस्थाओं को पॉलिसीज और प्लान बनाने में मदद करता है। इसके साथ ही रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स और यंग फैकल्टी को रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी की ट्रेनिंग तथा गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स को ट्रेनिंग देना संस्थान की मुख्य गतिविधियों में शामिल है। इंस्टीट्यूट सोशियोलॉजी, इकोनॉमिक्स, पॉलिटिकल साइंस, डेवलपमेंट स्टडीज में पीएचडी प्रोग्राम भी चलाता है।
Giri has been contributing in various fields. It is a principal institution in labor policy making,
It has been contributing towards policy making in the agriculture sector of the state. It has contributed in various ways to different levels of requirement of the government of Uttar Pradesh. Giri Institute has been now working very closely with the state government in the measurement of $1 trillion economy, taking the Uttar Pradesh economy to $2 trillion by 27. That is the target set by this government. And Giri Institute is working very closely. We are almost, at present, we have almost 18 projects providing key policy feedback on the research. We are also trying to enhance capacity of the state government bureaucracy. We are having almost 6 months of training programs for the state government bureaucracy in the department.
इंस्टीट्यूट कैंपस लखनऊ के अलीगंज में 4 एकड़ में फैला हुआ है, जहां एकेडमिक ब्लॉक, रेजिडेंशियल ब्लॉक, लाइब्रेरी, गेस्ट हाउस, कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल, सेमिनार हॉल, कमेटी रूम, कंप्यूटर लैब जैसे रिसर्च इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मौजूद हैं।
This library is as old as the institute, a huge collection of around 50,000, which includes books, bound periodicals, government reports of India and the state of Uttar Pradesh, and all the institutional publications like monographs and all. It's a library of a very well ensconced library of special collection, which has been built as an asset with a view to cater to the academic needs of the researchers.
संस्थान शुरुआती दौर पर लेबर इकोनॉमिक्स पर केंद्रित था। इसके बाद एग्रीकल्चर इकोनॉमिक्स से लेकर धीरे धीरे ये पॉलिटिकल स्टडीज़, सोशल साइंस स्टडीज़, माइनॉरिटी स्टडीज़ और जेंडर स्टडीज़, दलित एंड सोशल एक्सक्लूजन स्टडीज़, ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट स्टडीज़ आदि जैसे स्टडीज़ के अलावा भी कई नए क्षेत्रों में रिसर्च करके 50 वर्षों की लंबी यात्रा तय की है। संस्थान ने केंद्र सरकार, राज्य सरकार के अतिरिक्त ILO, फोर्ड फाउंडेशन, वर्ल्ड बैंक, संयुक्त राष्ट्र जैसी अनेक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय एजेंसियों के साथ मिलकर काम किया है। ICSSR का भी रिसर्च स्टडीज़ के लिए एक महत्वपूर्ण और विश्वसनीय योगदान रहा है। उत्तर प्रदेश संस्थान की ताकत रही है और उच्च कोटि का सर्वेक्षण और अनुसंधान संस्थान की पहचान रही है।
यहाँ पे आज से 10 साल पहले, 15 साल पहले मैंने एक सर्वे भी किया था, जिसमें हर खेत में आपको महिलाएं दिखाई देंगी। इतनी महिलाएं काम करती थी। वो ना केवल एग्रीकल्चर लेबर थी, इवन परिवार की महिलाएं मुख्य रूप से काम करती थी। हायर्ड लेबर का प्रचलन उतना ज़्यादा नहीं था। केवल जो लोकली अवेलेबल लेबर होता था उनको काम के लिए खेतों पे बुलाया जाता था, और वो भी कैश रूप में वर्क नहीं करते थे, वो इन काइंड रूप में वर्क करते थे। लेकिन समय के साथ साथ महिलाओं की सहभागिता खेतों में भी कम हुई है। मशीनीकरण का प्रयोग, जैसे फसल चक्र, पहले अगर आज से हम 15 साल पहले की बात करें तो एक जिसको हम बोलते हैं मल्टी क्रॉपिंग कल्चर था। बहुत एक साल में एक खेत में कई सारी फसलें, चाहे दलहन हो, तिलहन हो, आपके गेहूं हो, बहुत सारी फसलें ली जाती थी, और वो सारी की सारी लेबर इंटेंसिव क्रॉप होती थी। तो उनमें फीमेल पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत ज़्यादा था। खेती की बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज़ ऐसी हैं पर्टिकुलरली जो केवल फीमेल ओरिएंटेड होती थी, जिनमें महिलाएं काम करती थी। लेकिन मशीनीकरण का प्रयोग बढ़ने से धीरे धीरे उन्होंने लेबर को विड्रॉ कर दिया। तो सामाजिक स्तर से जोड़ के भी महिलाओं की जो है सहभागिता वो कम हुई है। यानी कि बड़े किसान के साथ साथ जो छोटे किसान हैं उनकी महिलाएं भी आज खेत में नहीं जा रही हैं। जो दलित महिलाएं हैं, शेड्यूल कास्ट की फीमेल्स हैं, वो अभी भी खेतों में जाती हैं, वो एज ए एग्रीकल्चर लेबरर भी काम करती हैं, और जो बहुत छोटे किसान हैं लेकिन दलित जाति के हैं, तो वे महिलाएं अभी भी खेतों में काम कर रही हैं।
टेस्ट प्रोजेक्ट वाज ऑन promotion of entrepreneurship among the SC, ST and women entrepreneurs, study of Stand Up India scheme in Uttar Pradesh. A close and careful reading of the data revealed that both the beneficiaries of the scheme and the workers employed by them in their enterprises have undergone an upward economic mobility. Caveats do exist. An overwhelming majority of the loans sanctioned by the banks have been secured by the women, largely belonging to general category and OBCs. Only a minuscule fraction has been captured by the entrepreneurs belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Only in fewer cases women are managing and running their enterprises.
जो करते थे तो ये खड़िया का जो वो पाउडर टाइप का निकलता है, तो उसमें कोई भी खेती नहीं होती है, तो किसानों के खेत सब बंजर होने लगे। इन लोगों के द्वारा अनाप शनाप पेड़ काट दिए जाते थे, या जो गड्ढे बन जाते हैं तो उनको भरना पड़ता है। तो उन पेड़ों को काटने के बाद इन लोगों ने सारे जंगल भी बर्बाद कर दिए हम लोगों को, और पानी के जो स्रोत थे तो वो भी नीचे आ गए, डाउन में चले गया पानी।
जगह है जहाँ पे जो है हैंडलूम के से जो है प्रोडक्ट बनाए जाते थे, लेकिन उसका प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट टाइम बहुत ही ज्यादा लगता था, और ये भारत को जो है कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट, जो ग्लोबल मार्केट जो हुआ, उसमें जो है प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट शुरू हो गई। तो गवर्नमेंट ने ये सोचा कि क्यों ना प्रोडक्टिविटी को बढ़ावा देने के लिए उन्होंने पॉलिसीज में चेंज किया, और पावर लूम को जो है उन्होंने बढ़ावा देना शुरू किया। तो बनारस एक समय में जो हैंडलूम साड़ी को बनाने का, सिल्क साड़ी बनाने के लिए बहुत ही फेमस रहा है। लेकिन उसके बाद क्या होता है कि जब हैंडलूम गिरता है तो वहां के बहुत सारे स्किल्ड लेबर जो है भिवांडी, जो महाराष्ट्र में पड़ता है, सूरत और बैंगलोर, ये 3 जगह पे माइग्रेट करते हैं वो लोग जो है बड़ी तादाद में, जो है जहां पे लेबर इंटेंसिव जो है एक इंडस्ट्री होती है, जो लेबर को जो है और जॉब क्रिएट कर रही होती है। हमारी नीतियों की वजह से, ग्लोबलाइजेशन की वजह से, इकोनॉमिक रिफॉर्म की वजह से जो है, और जिस तरीके के यान पॉलिसीज है, जिस तरीके के हमारे इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट्स है जो है WTO के अंदर, उसका सीधा सीधा असर जो है हमारे जो है मजदूर वर्ग के, हमारे स्किल्ड लेबर के, जो हैंडीक्राफ्ट के लोग हैं, उनके खाने पे, उनके फैमिली पे, उनके शिक्षा पे, उनके तमाम जो है सुविधाओं पे जो असर पड़ता है, और एक दुष्चक्र में फंस के रह गए हैं वो लोग।
Street children are usually found in big cities, and there are 3 categories of street children: on the street, off the street, and abandoned children. In Lucknow, the composition of these street children was almost 60% were Muslim, remaining 40% were non-Muslims. If we go by the caste-wise composition, around 60% were OBC, rest of the 40% were, you see, divided into general category, ST and SC. Due to certain reasons, the number of street children appears to be far more as compared to we have estimated, and their condition is far pathetic as compared to what we could understand. So in view of that, there must be a separate, you see, research and a study for particularly for the girl street children in the city of Lucknow in particular.
I have looked at the Musahars residing in the districts of Maharajganj and Kushinagar districts of the state, the easternmost part of the state. And their journey has been tremendous. Their transformation has been tremendous. In the late 80s and until the late 80s and the early 90s, they were working as bonded laborers in the field of feudal lords. Moving from being a bonded laborer to a state where they now are part of Panchayat as Pradhan, as ward members, as BDC members, and in this journey, multiple actors have played their role. Social activists in late 80s have given them the language, the energy to fight with the feudal lord, and that was a very violent fight. Then after some time, in the early 90s, in the late 90s, developmental agencies came in and ActionAid intervened very successfully. They gave them the language of rights. And it was there that they started articulating their presence in the public sphere, and they started looking themselves as the developmental left out. Schemes of the government were not reaching them, and the agency helped them to get access to these schemes. And after the agency took an exit from the area, with their developed consciousness, with the articulation that had come about, they were not at ease with the old feudal ties, and they started looking for spaces where they can articulate themselves.
Actually, that study is on scheduled caste employability in skill development in Uttar Pradesh. Actually, the employability is very difficult for them, and also that was not achieved, and that's why the government training center, they should just emphasize on how people should get employment rather than getting only training. So there is a gap between the demand side and the supply side. And although there is a more that opportunity in industries and all, but in spite of this training, they are not employed. That this induced unemployment is creating problem since they are marginalized groups people, in spite of investing all the time and money, but they are not employed. It is a very difficult situation.
So we had the male, de jure and de facto. So these three groups we have studied. Our findings were basically women as a agriculturalist, their productivity is not very less, but their price they are not getting as much as farmer, the male farmer is getting. Economically, empowerment was highest among de facto and de jure, and least for the women in the case of control group where male farmer is there. We found that all the government schemes, there is no orientation towards women. So unless women is brought in the forefront and those schemes are addressed to them, and the delivery mechanism made in such a way that women can participate.
Older population जो women है, उसमें percentage उनके high हैं. मैन के कंपैरेटिवली काउंटर पार्ट में फीमेल जो है, क्योंकि उनकी लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी हाई होती है तो वो ज़्यादा होते हैं, और यही चीज़ हम लोग को केयर होम्स में और बाकी सब जगहों पे भी देखने को मिली. इकोनॉमिकली इंडिपेंडेंट ना होने की वजह से भी बहुत सारे ऐसे चैरिटी होम्स में लोग थे जो कि अब अबैंडन थे अपनी फैमिली से, और ख़ासकर अगर वो विडो हैं और चाइल्डलेस हैं, उस केस में जो है फैमिली उनको जो है निकाल देती है. चैरिटी होम्स में रहने वाले जो विमेन थी वो एससी और ओबीसी से ज़्यादा बिलोंग करती थी, एंड सरप्राइजिंगली सिर्फ एक जनरल कैंडिडेट हमको वहाँ पर मिला, जबकि पेड होम्स में हमने इसका उल्टा देखा कि हाँ जनरल कैटेगरी के लोग ज़्यादा थे एज कम्पेयर टू एससी और ओबीसी.
The rate of migration, out migration from Uttarakhand has been declining outside Uttarakhand, but that is increasing in nearby small towns or the plain areas of Uttarakhand itself. Now earlier motive was only to generate income and employment. Now people have largely migrating for better education. Then in the low hill areas we should go cropping for traditional crops, because at least we need food for Uttarakhand also. Then we should grow paddy, wheat, other crops, traditional crops. In middle hills, we can grow the several kind of fruits, tropical fruits, like banana, apples, or nibu, or what other kind of things. And high hill areas we can go for nuts or these kind of grow.
There were the 4 religious places which we covered in our study, और चारों जगह में मथुरा, वृंदावन, हरिद्वार एंड वाराणसी वर द डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स वी कवर्ड, और इन सारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में सबसे ज़्यादा विडोज़ हमको जो लोकेट हुई वो वृंदावन में थी. 2801 विडोज़ का हम लोगों ने सर्वे किया था एंड व्हाट वी डिड वाज कि हमने जो विद फैमिली रह रही थी और जो विदाउट फैमिली थी, द माइग्रेटरी नेचर ऑफ दीज विडोज़ वर दैट दे मोस्ट ऑफ देम दे हैड कम फ्रॉम वेस्ट बंगाल, उड़ीसा, बिहार एंड ऑल्सो फ्यू ऑफ देम वर फ्रॉम नेपाल। तो इन लोगों का रीज़न ये था कि फैमिली ने डिसोन कर दिया था। कुछ लोगों का ये कहना था कि उनकी फैमिली ही यहाँ तक लेके आई उनको और फिर यहाँ छोड़ दिया कि इन सर्च ऑफ गॉड, कि यहाँ से आप भजन कीर्तन करेंगे तो आपको भगवान जल्दी प्राप्त होंगे। इमोशनल अटैचमेंट था उनको फिर भी फैमिली से, बट व्हेन वी आस्क्ड द क्वेश्चन कि क्या आप अपने घर वापस जाना चाहती हैं, तो दे सिंपली डिनाइड कि हम उस फाउंडेशन में नहीं रहना चाहते, आई एम हैप्पी हियर। हम लोगों ने रिकमेंडेशन दिया अपनी रिपोर्ट में कि वेलफेयर पॉलिसीज़ बननी चाहिए। फिर सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर हुआ कि शेल्टर होम्स, इस तरह के विडोज़ जो स्ट्रीट्स पर इधर उधर अपने लाइवलीहुड के लिए फेंड कर रही हैं, उनको एक प्रॉपर स्पेस मिले, उनकी डिग्निटी मेंटेन हो, उनको इंडिपेंडेंस मिले, इस तरह से नहीं कि सड़क पे कोई भी आता जाता उनको वो करे। तो इस तरह के शेल्टर होम्स नाउ प्रेजेंट कंडीशन इज़ दैट कि इस तरह के शेल्टर होम्स वी फाइंड हेयर इन वृंदावन और मथुरा में भी इस तरह के शेल्टर होम्स हमको देखने को मिल रहे हैं। तो और प्लस हमारी रिकमेंडेशन थी कि वी शुड इनकरेज री मैरिज ऑफ जो यंग विडोज़ हैं, उनकी री मैरिज होनी चाहिए, उनको लव एंड ट्रीटमेंट मिलना चाहिए।
Studies on marginalized groups, including Dalits, women and minorities have been on the agenda of the Institute since very beginning. In this significant series, a major study on backward and Dalit Muslims was conducted meticulously for over a period of 2 years starting 2013. A multidisciplinary team of faculty members, Srinivas Goli, a seasoned demographer, Surinder Kumar and Fahmuddin, both renowned economists, and myself, a field sociologist, conducted a statewide survey of over 7,000 households spread in 14 districts of all 4 regions of the state. The survey revealed that both backward and Dalit Muslims, they lagged behind other SRGs in government jobs, education, literacy and white-collar jobs. More importantly, the study unearthed the practice of untouchability with Dalit Muslims by all other social religious groups. A section of Dalit Muslim respondents reported that they felt discriminated in social relations and access to social religious places. The government of India has constituted a commission in 2022 to look into the possibilities of granting scheduled caste status to Dalit Muslims and Dalit Christians. The data drawn from this study on socio-economic status of the Dalit Muslims and also the practice of untouchability with them, we hope will be found useful by the Commission to recommend scheduled caste status for Dalit Muslims as well.
So we have started initiative of this farmers' income, measurement of the farmers' income and how to double this income. The farmers' income is mainly depending upon the productivity of agriculture and different crops of the agriculture, whether it may be cereal crops or non-cereal crops or commercial crops which are associated with this agriculture. So the main drivers of this farmers' income growth is that one is the productivity of different crops, and second one is the irrigation facilities. Assured irrigation is also one of the basic factor, and the third driver which can be the most important factor is that the credit facilities, availability of credit facilities. So these are the drivers which mainly influence the farmers' income. So in that way, overall our sample size will be 28,820. So based on that, we have reached the farmers' income from 7,000 in 2015-17 estimation of farmers' income to by 2023-24 it should reach around 14,000 something, 14,416 rupees. So if that is the case, then the farmers' income will be doubled.
People were migrating out for their livelihoods, but they were not returning to their villages. And as a result, what happened that all of a sudden I noticed that these small villages have turned into the ghost villages almost. So census 2011 estimated around 1800 villages that those were ghost villages. Education, health, along with the better employment opportunities, because outside agriculture there were hardly any diversification of employment opportunities and people started migrating out. We did this extensive study in Kedar Valley, not only in Kedar Valley but also in Pindar Valley, where that time it impacted the most of the people. And one of the immediate challenge was that, how do you, if you rehabilitate them, what are the long-term sustainability for rehabilitating those people who have been uprooted from their villages, from their houses, who have lost their livelihoods, who have lost almost everything. That is one of the important recommendation we gave the government of Uttarakhand, that in any kind of disaster you should depute the psychiatrist immediately along with other medical reliefs. So that has been subsequently I think made an important part of all disaster management strategies.
संस्थान जो है एक सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस तौर पे इस काम के लिए चयनित किया गया था राज्य सरकार के द्वारा, और जो भी पंचायती राज व्यवस्था से संबंधित जो भी अध्ययन होते थे वो ज़्यादातर हमारे संस्थान के द्वारा किए जाते थे। उस पीरियड में मुझे जहाँ तक याद मुझे याद पड़ रहा है कि करीब 12 से 15 स्टडीज़ पंचायती राज व्यवस्था को मजबूत करने के संबंध में हमारे गृह विकास अध्ययन संस्थान में की गई थी। जो एक बहुत बड़ी स्टडी थी, उसमें ग्राम पंचायत विकास योजना तैयार करनी थी कि पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश के जितने भी पंचायत हैं उस सभी पंचायतों में उस मॉडल योजना के आधार पर वो सभी ग्राम पंचायतें अपनी अपनी योजना को तैयार करेंगे। उस योजना को बनाने का एक मुख्य उद्देश्य ये था, उसमें 3 बातें बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट थी। 3 उद्देश्य कह सकते हैं कि हमारे 3 उद्देश्य थे। पहली बात थी कि लोकल लेवल पे, यानी जिस पंचायत में हम इस योजना को बना रहे हैं उसमें वहाँ पे क्या क्या समस्याएं हैं, नंबर 1 बात थी, यानी समस्याओं को आइडेंटिफाई करना था, उनको चिन्हित करना था। दूसरी बात रिसोर्स मैपिंग करनी थी। रिसोर्स मैपिंग करनी ये थी कि जहाँ जिन पंचायतों में हम ये योजना बना रहे थे वहाँ पे क्या क्या रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल हैं। तीसरी बात ये थी कि हमें ये भी देखना था कि पंचायतों को हर साल एक बड़ी मात्रा में सरकारी धन की उपलब्धि कराई जाती है कि जिससे कि वो बहुत ही अपनी विकास योजनाओं को चला सकें। तो वो हमें ये देखना था कि वो कितना धन पंचायतों को अवेलेबल कराया जा रहा है और उस धन से जो हम लोगों ने जो योजना बनाई जा रही है उससे कितने कार्य किया जा सकता है, कितने कार्य की आपूर्ति की जा सकती है और उसके बाद कितने धन की और आवश्यकता होगी।
Land relations could have brought something miracle which was not done. That I very much sorry for it, because personally I have done and seen what has happened to land relations. Do you know, monopolistic structure of land relations has not demolished. What to talk of changed. So that is a sad affair. Otherwise, this is said to have been something quite different. Then yes, land is very important, and land could have been taken into account, and it has been changed in such way that the people could have access to it, not under the pressure of monopolistic structure.
पूरी दुनिया में सोशल साइंस रिसर्च चुनौतियों का सामना कर रही है। गिरि विकास संस्थान भी इन चैलेंजेस से अछूता नहीं है। अच्छी बात यह है कि संस्थान का नेतृत्व समसामयिक चुनौतियों के प्रति सचेत है और संस्थान को इन चैलेंजेस का सामना करने के लिए तैयार करता रहता है।
I say that education sector, including research, has been a neglected sector in India. The funding to ICSSR and to research projects in social sciences is extremely limited. The adequate resources are not being made available to the research institutes. And also, the kind of independence which is needed in research institute and universities, academic freedom and autonomy, I think presently it is under pressure.
This is one of the challenges, that most of the institutions, they stick on with only the social science. So since you asked what are the contemporary issues, the first issue is the intellectual challenges. What I said, interdisciplinary, now I want to go beyond interdisciplinary. I call it as transdisciplinary. So interaction of science and the social science. Capacity building in the sense that most of us, we do a lot of research and we copy the same methodology, but what we need is that Indian school of thought. It is look at that M.N. Srinivasan in sociology. He brought the concept called Sanskritization in. That's the Indian school of thought. And if you look at C.T. Kurian, he brought a kind of a development in agriculture. The growth and development in the Indian context. And Bhardwaj, he was talking about the agricultural production. Expenditure, the funding to social science in India is very minuscule.
The most crucial one in today's immediate context is social sciences' relationship with other sciences, or some other sciences like, let's say, humanities has been more or less an established fact, but also with the natural sciences. We are in 2023, for the last few years, talking about how AI is going to change and transform not only human communication, but human cognition. So social science cannot be bereft of it. So social science, because any technological innovation has social impact, there is also a social context in doing science.
To me, I think the biggest challenge at the moment is to be able to take a call on the nature of research in which I would want to engage in. And by that, I think the context is there are certain stipulations in some sense which are becoming evident by way of understanding the areas in which we can undertake research and the areas in which we cannot undertake research. There are very set realms which are visibly acceptable as researchables, and there are very evident domains which are kind of not accepted when it comes to researching in social sciences.
In India, for a very long time, I think teaching and research, which should be combined, have been separated. So teaching is done in colleges and universities, and research was supposed to be done in research institutions funded by the Indian Council of Social Science Research. I think this bifurcation of teaching and research has been problematic, and it has in a way hurt higher education in India. It has also affected social sciences. In India, one of the problems is that somewhere a hierarchy has been created between the sciences and the social sciences, and then within the social sciences too there's a hierarchy in disciplines. Some disciplines like economics, for example, are obviously given much greater importance, and which is why most of the ICSSR research institutions focus on the economy rather than, let us say, society, polity, culture as a whole. So they don't do that kind of integrated work that should be done.
Nowadays, world over, research is not an individual affair, and teams where 3-4 researchers collaborate, and this I saw even in US and even in some of the best institutions in India.
संस्थान का समाज के साथ गहरा जुड़ाव है। जैसे जैसे समाज, अर्थव्यवस्था और राजनीति नई नई चुनौतियों का सामना करते हैं, वैसे ही संस्थान अपने रिसर्च एजेंडा को अपडेट करता रहता है। इंस्टीट्यूट लीडरशिप इस बात का ख्याल रखती है कि संस्थान और समाज के बीच संवाद बना रहे। रिसर्च इशू चुनते समय इंस्टीट्यूट मार्जिनलाइज्ड ग्रुप्स का खास ख्याल रखता है।
Should prioritize the estimation of district development product, for each district, every district. It can then go to take it further down, and we are talking about aspirational districts and then aspirational blocks, etc. Now that's where the institute can work with the government to make sure that these districts come up to the national or the state level, etc. But modernization of agriculture in all its aspects, high quality, improving the quality of higher education or other education in all its aspects, making a UP an export-oriented economy. What is required to be done? Because all of us, so the institute should now move from only ideating towards also telling people as to how it is to be done. Not just what is to be done, but how it is to be done, and setting up teams. And I think the urbanization is another area where the institute can do a lot of good work. I'm sure up to 100 million people are waiting to be urbanized in UP. We've so far had some very unplanned urbanization, which has resulted in the kind of census towns that we've seen that there are. I think again, that's not the quality of life that our people deserve. And I think so well-planned, decentralized urbanization, urban planning is again something that the institute can talk about. So I think an environment, of course, whether it's water or it's the land, the carbon content, the atmosphere, environment is of course the biggest challenge that we are facing.
The basic issues in UP remain the same. The slow rate of growth, very little economic transformation, very large social inequalities, social and economic, and the issue of poverty.
The partners of this development journey of India needs to be people from different communities, especially marginalized communities. And therefore it is up to the Giri Institute and all our institutes, in fact, to do more in producing empirical and database research on the social impact of policy initiatives of the government.
Contextualizing health, perhaps contextualizing public health to make it slightly broader, because when you're talking of development, we really can't leave health behind. We have to, we have to understand health of the people, because if you're contextualizing economic development vis-a-vis people's contribution to economic development, to me, health becomes a very important regime. How access to health can be enabled, what are the parameters, what are the institutions which work towards ensuring good health for people.
See, the major to my mind, the blocks is the quality of education and quality of health. And we should try to identify the issues, and we should try to see how you can mobilize resources, how you can reorient policies, that the focus of the country is on the building of human resources.
Contributed to the India, I wish that this institution also again to work more on labor issues, particularly the labor regulation and labor law and other issues like now the gig economy is growing up. Then these are the area economy is concerned. What I foresee is that a lot of human development issues. See, at one point of time, any state government, if you look at any state government, at the one side, if you look at the development expenditure, social sector expenditure is increasing. But the other side, you see the human development outcomes are very low. and there is a disproportionate between the human development outcome and the increase in the development expenditure. So it creates a lot of problem. So I wish that this institute should be a think tank in the area of public finance, particularly financing human development. I wish that they have to work on the regional disparity. Why the regional disparity is arising, and how do we overcome this regional imbalance? What could be the strategy?
संस्थान का विजन सोशल साइंस रिसर्च में एक सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस के रूप में विकसित होना है। संस्थान उत्तर प्रदेश की सोसाइटी, इकोनॉमी और पॉलिटिक्स पर शोध में विशेषज्ञता हासिल करने के लिए निरंतर प्रयासरत है।
I see my role more as a Guru Dakshina to my teacher, Dr. V.B. Singh, who set up this institute, and it is in his memory and in the memories of doyens like T.S. Papola that I think we should be working towards. And you know, the homage that we can pay to those institutes, to these gentlemen, is to ensure the highest quality of research output from the Institute of Development Studies. And that's a part of my vision, which is that we produce research which people will look towards, as it were, which will say, oh, you want to know something in UP, go to the Giri Institute of Development Studies. That is where they've got. So that's the one. So the quality of research output, to make it globally competitive. But more than globally competitive, actually, Prashant, is that the quality of research output that is seized upon by the policy maker as an input to making new and path-breaking policy.
संस्थानों के इतिहास में स्वर्ण जयंती वर्ष एक महत्वपूर्ण पड़ाव होता है, लेकिन इंस्टीट्यूट के जीवन में यह एक अपेक्षाकृत छोटा समय है। गिरि विकास अध्ययन संस्थान ने 50 वर्षों की ये यात्रा अपने संस्थापकों के विजन पर चलते हुए पूर्ण की है। सोशल साइंस रिसर्च में उत्कृष्टता हासिल करने और हाशिए के लोगों के पक्ष में काम करने का यह सफर ऐसे ही निरंतर जारी रहेगा।